365, we making the plays. We talking the game, get you to the days. We're high in the court, they're down in the lane. Variety, topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, they working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays.
And welcome everybody to the latest edition of Real Talk, where we're going to get into the real of what went down with the NFL draft, these NBA playoffs, these players that's pissed off. Just a lot of great stuff to get into. But first, I got some guests with me here. So if y'all could just go around and say what's up, see how y'all feeling. We'll start with Sean. What's going on, brother?
What's up? How's everybody doing? Just here, filling in. Go Ravens. I want to get excited to talk about the draft and all the other sports. So let's go. Let's have a good show.
Let's do it. Kenny, what's going on, bro?
I'm good, man. Good to be back. Some questionable.
Did he freeze on us, or is that me?
I think he froze.
I think he froze on us.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can now.
Okay. No, I was just saying, they got some questionable picks according to these draft grades from my Cowboys, but that it still has to be proven on the field. So we're going to stay optimistic, and we're still a team to beat in the division until somebody does otherwise.
Absolutely. And what's going on, Devin?
What's happening with y'all, man? My name Devin. Appreciate y'all letting me join on the show. You know what I mean? Host of my own sports podcast, My Thoughts, My Opinion Sports Podcast.
Welcome.
And y'all know who the man there in the bottom middle is. What's going on, Freddie?
Man, it's every time I get an opportunity to come to the Real Talk crew, it's always a pleasure, especially when I get to come mess with my brother Kenny about them Cowboys. And, they were supposed to address some holes in the draft. Well, they look like the rankings did not like them. They could have filled more holes. They could have done a lot better in the draft, but we'll get into that pretty soon in the draft.
Yeah, we will definitely be touching on what Dallas did or didn't do in this year's draft amongst some other teams. And last but definitely not least, we got Uncle Kurt. What's going on, my man?
Hey, how's everybody doing this evening? Calling out of Baltimore. Big Green Bay fan, big Boston fan on here. So it's my first time being on here. So thanks for having me, guys.
Sure. Yes, you and Devin, you got to be from Baltimore too. I can hear it in that accent.
Yeah, you are. Boy, no, baby.
Same here.
Ravens flock over here.
Hey, it's all right. The Ravens might flock, but guess what? You need a Ram to come knock down that house. A Ram to win Super Bowl.
Let's do
y'all do not let Freddie trick y'all. He became a Rams fan in the playoffs last
2 weeks ago.
So
this man been a fan for all of a month.
Freddie.
The Rams was one interception away of not even making a Super Bowl. So,
but you know what? That's a lot of woulda, coulda, shouldas, my brother. But you know what? One thing Ray and one thing Kenny won't tell you why I decided to become a Rams fan. I was born in the city of Angels. I was born in the city of Los Angeles. I bleed purple and gold. Yes, that's one thing you will hear out of my mouth multiple times.
Yeah, I'm a Lakers fan too. So I won't put
you a good man. See there. I recruit good to the network. See there. There you go.
Yeah. We hear you, Freddie. He was a Lakers fan, but he wasn't a Rams fan all his life. It's convenient how that worked out. But we gonna get into it and really just kind of talk about the draft. There was a lot that took place. It was a little underwhelming for quarterbacks. Definitely Willis, rough couple day or two for him. Lost a lot of money, but that's how it goes sometimes. So you can't predict what is going to happen in the draft, but we got a variety of different teams here. So I'll start with you, Sean. Just what were some of your bigger takeaways from the draft? Was it overwhelming, underwhelming? about right for what you saw and what your team did?
So to start off with the Ravens, I mean, we're always a good drafting team. I believe most analysts had us as a plus, one of the top 3 drafting teams this year. Usually year in and year out, it seems like these players fall to the Ravens that have no business falling to them, and they do the best job of just taking the best player available to fit their schemes. So that's what you saw here with Kyle Hamilton, obviously trading Hollywood for 23, and getting the best run blocking center is ideal for what the Ravens would like to do. So I believe the Ravens nailed the draft like they always do. I believe the Jets nailed the draft. I believe the Eagles may have been the most improved team after the draft. The Chiefs had a good draft, the Lions, Giants. There was a lot of teams that had a pretty good draft. I really enjoyed watching the draft and watching the trades break down. Obviously, not many people expected the quarterbacks to slide down that far. Even the first quarterback wasn't selected until, pick 20? That seemed pretty unusual to me. I thought when the Saints made their first trade up to 11 or whatever it was, I thought they were going to take Kenny Pickett there. It's just unfortunate for those quarterbacks, the underwhelming quarterback class, but you never know until they step on the field. So my biggest takeaway is this is probably the weakest quarterback class I've seen. And I believe the Jets were the clear-cut winners of the draft with so many picks that they had. I believe they filled a lot of holes and young talent for their team, and they did a nice job of getting Zach Wilson some weapons to try to get him to maximize his potential a little bit.
All right, real quick before we move on, because you mentioned a couple things. You said you thought the Jets had the best draft.
Mm-hmm.
With that in mind, and obviously the reports are the Patriots had the worst draft according to Mel Kiper. What is your win total for the Jets next season?
They still have a lot of holes on that team. They still have the Bills and obviously the Patriots in the division. They got to go against those teams twice. I believe they're going to be better than last year. I'm still thinking I'm going to give them maybe 6-11. I mean, it's an improvement for this year, but I still think they have a lot of holes. I just think they did a good job at working towards the future. I'll give them 6-11, maybe 7-10, depending on how their schedule lines up.
Okay, so still last place. Got it. Kenny, what you got?
Probably still last place.
Hey Ray, I want to interject something real quick before Kenny go. That's about the Patriots draft. Yes, we can all say that the Patriots did not have that great of a draft, on this past week. But let's not forget, this is the New England Patriots with Bill Belichick, who have found steals in the draft. So, what might look like on paper might be one thing. This isn't Jerry Jones. This isn't Stephen Jones. This is Bill Belichick. Let's give him his respect with all respect.
Freddie, what was the last great Patriots draft pick?
Hey.
There's facts and there's Freddie facts. So
they find talent at a cheap rate. So don't count.
I haven't seen it in a while.
They should have took a corner in the first round, honestly.
Exactly. If you're looking at
Mac Jones wasn't a bad
just to further refute Freddie's point, if we're looking at the last few drafts of the Cowboys and the Patriots, anybody would say that the Cowboys have drafted better than the Patriots over these last few
by
years.
far. And I hate
it's not even close. Just try to find a way to throw a dick in there for no reason.
I mean, y'all might drive better, but it ain't turned to success in the playoffs. But carry on.
Kenny, your draft takeaway.
I feel we picked according to our needs, and we may have reached in some places. The linebacker who has what's his name? Hold on, Sam Williams. He had some questions. We got a backup tight end. So I, to be honest with you, I wasn't really that tight or really tuned in to the draft like that. But we basically drafted according to our needs. So it's just a matter of us of seeing whether or not these guys pan out on the field. And like I said, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt because over the last few years, between the Ezekiel Elliott's, Lyle Collins, Travis Fredericks, list goes on and on. CeeDee Lamb, all these guys have come in and have been productive. To Micah Parsons, Trevon Diggs. So there's a plethora of players that have been drafted and have come in and have been productive. So I'm just gonna hold judgment and see how they produce on the field. I will say this, though, about the first-round pick. I didn't like the fact that he was a penalty magnet in college. So seeing that definitely concerns me a little bit because we definitely had some penalty issues in terms of, especially on the offensive line. So that concerns me a little bit, but, hopefully he gets into the system, they coach him up, and he matures and grows. And we'll see if we could turn those that nasty streak, according to the scouts, into something that becomes a big, productive player for the Cowboys. But, to me, it's a wait and see. So we'll see what happens.
Okay, sounds like somebody that knows it was bad but doesn't want to admit it. Okay.
I was waiting for somebody to say it because.
Well, I mean, the grade speaks for itself, but again, it doesn't just because how they grade out, that doesn't necessarily show how they're going to be productive on the field. So we just got to wait.
I mean, I agree with you. I just feel like you said for need, and I'm looking at you traded Cooper. And Gallup's coming back from an ACL. Like, I would have thought you might have addressed that in some capacity. The running back position is on the mend. At some point, you're going to try and get out of that Zeke contract. But
I would pick the wide receiver in the third round, Jalen Tolbert. So, I mean, they did.
As long as they got Mike McCarthy, that team is in fire. And long as Jerry Jones is the owner, that team ain't never going nowhere.
You know what? I like this dude. You know what? Hey.
Jerry Jones is a curse for Dallas. I would just go ahead and just say that. Jerry Jones, I think he's so.
When did the curse start? Because let's not act like he ain't got no chips now.
Now he got after he sold his soul and those in the 90s to get those chips. That was it. The devil said, "I'm here to collect," and now your team will never win as long as you own this organization. And Jerry Jones trips me out because he wants to be front center. What owner is always front and center? Jerry Jones. What owner always trying to find some way to keep his team relevant? Jerry Jones. What team is always picked to be the favorite and don't know why? The Dallas Cowboys. Like I said, I just solely believe as long as Jerry Jones is around and part of that organization, the Cowboys will never win. They hired Mike McCarthy way too fast. They tried to throw him in and thought he was going to bring Aaron Rodgers through the door. And you got Prescott coming back off an injury. And you didn't really look to run the ball. All you did was try to throw Prescott back there 50 times a game and hoping that he can be a savior. Prescott is not a savior. Prescott is just a Band-Aid for the Cowboys. The Cowboys, I don't think he is a top 10 quarterback in my eyes.
Lamar Jackson is?
Yes, at least Lamar Jackson has an MVP. Lamar Jackson has made it deep into the playoffs.
Is that
deep into the playoffs?
Is that where you want to go, Kenny?
No. I'm just saying, like, we got questions about Lamar Jackson too. So let's not ask.
Lamar didn't make $70 million last year either.
But if it comes down to me picking in the draft, Lamar or Dak, who would you choose? You ain't gonna choose Dak because we already shown that Dak is already injury prone.
Hey, Devin,
Lamar Jackson coming off of an injured Phil season as well. So,
Devin, you got to remember this, bro. You're talking about a Cowboy fan. I'm not disagreeing. A lot of stuff that you said, I totally agree with. I think Jerry Jones is way too active. I think he needs it. I've been saying that he needed to fall back and fire himself as a GM. So that I'm totally with you on. I think he should elevate himself in the organization.
Yeah, exactly, because that plays into your narrative.
What position?
I think you need to elevate his way out the organization.
Yeah, that I'm more with when it actually makes sense.
Listen here, man. Listen here. You know what I found interesting in that draft? I found out a team that was ready to win, a team that's ready to see what the quarterback is all about. There's been a lot of questions about Mr. Jalen Hurts. Well, you know what the Philadelphia Eagles did say? You know what? We're going to give you another receiver beside Mr. Smith, who they took in the draft with Jalen Hurts. We're going to give you A.J. Brown, a guy who can do all things on all levels. They went all in to say, okay. But they had a good draft, by the way. They addressed the needs that they need. They had the linebacker. They got the defensive tackle. I believe they even drafted a O-lineman as well. Pieces that they needed to incorporate to help this team take the next level. But if Jalen Hurts improves next year, Cowboys, do not be surprised if Philadelphia Eagles will be representing the NFC East. And I believe it was only 3 games behind last year when you guys had Amari Cooper, when you guys had a Michael Gallup, when you guys had a CeeDee Lamb, when you guys had the Zeke and the Pollard.
Why are you so concerned? I thought we were supposed to be talking about your team.
You're talking about everybody but your team. Don't give you no competition, sir. I'm back holding the mantle down. Don't worry, I'm here. And then you had DeMarcus Lawrence, and you had Michael Parsons, whatever his name is. Then you had
know
Brandon
more about
Gregory.
my team than you know about your team.
And then you had the guy who had an interception dang near every game of the season until halfway of the season. So, hey, just watch out. The Philadelphia Eagles, they just got a playmaker on that offense, and do not be surprised they make a big run next year.
Now, after all of that, what do you have to say about the Rams?
Everybody but your team. GM, F those picks. F those picks. We about winning right now. That's what I'm talking about.
Y'all most definitely need to find somebody that's going to replace Von Miller on that other side, though.
Oh, who Von Miller?
Yeah,
that's what we got Bobby Wagner for.
He's the middle.
Linebacker. He's a middle linebacker.
Middle. No edge rusher now.
Hey, we got him. We got Big Daddy Donald. Hey, just that Rams defense gonna be the same, if not better. Just watch.
All right, I hear you.
Back to back.
Nah,
you said the same, if not better. Okay.
So you calling
we going true LA style. Back.
So you calling back to back.
Ooh, right now.
Thank you.
The NFC
Everybody
is weak.
Stay healthy right now. I'm calling it.
The NFC is really weak.
Oh no, it's definitely
AFC.
There's no competition. No,
the AFC is stacked.
I think the Saints can maybe pose a little bit of a threat.
No.
Who?
The Saints.
The Aints don't got nothing to do with us.
Well,
the Rams?
I think
or the Bucks or the Packers.
But I think you gotta wait and see. You gotta wait and see.
Don't know who he's throwing to yet.
Yeah, you gotta wait and see what Jameis Winston is going to be. If he's going to be,
I think they're more formidable than
the Saints. Take care of the ball, and if he's going to be healthy.
I think the Saints have better pieces, especially if Michael come back.
You guys are sleeping on Christian Watson, the Packers. He's going to be their number 1 receiver this year. The rookie they took in the 2nd round. He's going to be really good for them.
Sean, it's not about that.
Now that's hoping he don't hit the rookie wall though.
Sean, it's not about that. What it's about is we've seen Aaron Rodgers with younger receivers.
That's what I was about to say.
They don't really gel well.
Is he going to trust them?
Yeah,
we'll see.
I think that's the biggest question: is Aaron Rodgers going to trust them?
That's a fair question.
I just don't think the Saints are that team yet, but we will see. A lot to be shaken out. Washington, we traded back. We didn't do a whole lot. I didn't think we messed it up. I didn't really see a lot of our grades. I think we're kind of middle of the road. But we got another receiver. Fast guy, could be a good fit. I think our division, the NFC East, which was definitely the worst division. I think outside of Dallas, everybody got a decent amount better. I liked what the Giants did. I think they got 2 big picks early. They did not extend Jones or pick up his 5th-year option, so he's in a prove-it year. I think that'll be added incentive. They hopefully got some offensive line so we can finally see what the heck Saquon can do. Maybe we'll see. Philly, obviously, we know what Philly did, and I don't know how they robbed Tennessee. Like, we've seen a lot of one-way trades. Hopkins comes to mind, but even Devontae Adams, what they gave up, and then to give up AJ Brown or get AJ Brown for that is just a lot. It's surprising to me.
Teams were just giving up washing machines to get some of these players.
The Ravens got a first for Hollywood Brown. He's not even half of AJ Brown.
Nowhere near.
and then that, I guess they knew the desperation.
I was just about to say that was desperate. That was basically a desperate move after they found out what happened with
6 games for a 1. Like, give me the 6 games. Desperate. You ain't getting a 1.
That was a panic move.
That trade was already in the works for a while.
Yeah, Hollywood.
I know he wanted out, but I don't know why in the world they would give up a first. But.
Him and Kyler are best friends too.
And Hollywood probably best friends with everybody. He was best friends with Lamar. Now he gonna be best friends with Kyler. So
this is what I wanted to ask you, Ray, as a Washington fan. Do you think I like how Sam Howell fits with Washington, and obviously with Carson Wentz's injury history? Do you think we see Sam Howell this year?
No.
Yeah.
Did y'all forget who the best quarterback in NFC East was last year?
Who? Tyler Heineke?
Yes, sir. Taylor Heineke's still on that roster, ladies and gentlemen.
He's gonna he belongs exactly where he belongs. Back up.
Right.
That's exactly where he belongs.
And I bet he'll beat out Howell.
I'm pretty sure, yeah, because
the question was, will Howell see the field unless both starting quarterbacks get hurt?
Look, Carson Wentz is gonna blow y'all season anyway, just like he did the Colts.
That's okay. We got an A1 backup ready and waiting.
So you don't think Sam Howell is the future quarterback for them? That's what I'm trying to get at.
No.
He's the Kirk Cousins.
No, I don't even like Kirk Cousins like that, but he's better than Kirk is better than him. Could he materialize into something? Learn from Wentz? I don't think that'll happen. Learn from Heineke. They're probably almost similar age. So we don't really have an established vet at that position to help bring him along. We've all heard how great of a leader Carson Wentz was, which is why Nick Foles had a shrine. So I think Howell can be a pro quarterback. I think he has to be in the right system. I don't think our system is that. We got potentially 2 receivers, a decent running game, maybe, but I'm not impressed by any quarterback in that room, to be honest. I still think Heineke is the best quarterback on the team for where I'm standing. And we'll see what Wentz does. I think we got him for like a year, and then we'll probably end up moving on. It's a stopgap in a weak division. So maybe he finds that fire. I think this is probably his last chance to really be taken seriously, especially if Matt Ryan takes off in Indianapolis. Like, it'll be even bigger an indictment on.
I think he will.
I think Matt Ryan will. I think Matt Ryan can be consistent enough to win Indianapolis into that playoffs position where Carson Wentz couldn't do it last year.
And that division basically,
and especially with the running game that they have, like you just need somebody that's going to take care of the ball and manage the game.
And the division's as weak as ever with the AJ Brown and Julio gone. So you get Derrick Henry back, but you can't have 9 people in the box.
Right.
So I think it's definitely a winnable division. They could put up 12, 13 wins. So they definitely can do big numbers. And I don't think, like I said, Wentz didn't move the numbers. I think when we traded for him, our odds to win the Super Bowl didn't move. So
sounds
I think
right.
that tells you everything you need to know about how Vegas and the rest of the world feels about Carson Wentz. But speaking of quarterbacks, so immediately after the Super Bowl, by all accounts, the 49ers let Jimmy G know, we're trading you. We're getting you out of here. And he was comfortable with that. He's been really quiet. I think I seen him pop up in a commercial not too long ago. And then the blockbuster trade of the summer, well, there was a lot, but at the quarterback position, the Deshaun Watson trade left Baker in limbo. And the draft is come and gone, free agency is come and gone, and neither quarterback has been traded. So there's really one team left that didn't draft the quarterback, which I don't know what the heck Seattle was thinking. But there's only one spot left, really. Where do you guys see Jimmy G and Baker playing next year? And I'll start with you, Devin.
Baker, I thought Seattle was going to take the bullet on that, but it seems like Seattle might be content with Drew Lock. Then I thought Carolina could be another good destination for Baker, but it seems like they want to be with Sam Darnold, and with the draft of Malik Willis, Malik Willis didn't go down there, but Baker, I think he's going to wind up like a Johnny Manziel. I think he's going to wind up finding his way out the league. With him doing all that whining he did when the Browns, like I said, the Browns did disrespect him. I believe that if that's your starting quarterback for the last couple of years, you at least could have told him, like, look, you some shit this year, Doug. We plan on, and, but then also when you look at it, it's like Baker played himself into this. I believe that Baker shouldn't have been playing hurt. Then none of that, especially if the Browns wasn't showing no initiative to giving you a contract. So I think Baker might wind up being out of the league maybe for a year, reevaluate, or he might end up like a Mitch Trubisky and end up behind a good quarterback, but I just don't know where yet. Jimmy G, I think the 49ers is just going to stick it out with him. I don't think the 49ers has a true confidence in Lance. I really don't. So I think Jimmy G is going to be a 49er, but as a backup role, just to have a safe blanket.
Okay. I agree. I think Baker was very outspoken. When times he probably should have shut up. And the situation could have potentially worked itself out, or they would have been likely more amenable to moving him. But when you come out and you're a jerk, like, they got to pay the money probably anyway. So we've seen Deshaun Watson sit for you. We've seen teams pay people just to go away. So they've made most of their moves. I think they're in a great position to compete for the division and really even the conference with the talent that they have. So they, in essence, are already paying him. They can sit on him if they want. They're in no real need to move him in. You wait until somebody potentially goes down, his value potentially skyrockets. So I definitely understand that perspective. The Jimmy G thing is weird. I don't know if San Francisco believes in Lance or they just haven't been able to see him because he's hurt. But that will be interesting to see. But Kenny, what do you think?
I think the Browns are going to wind up releasing Baker Mayfield. I just think the market is totally dried up, and they're just going to wind up just cutting their losses because they don't want that distraction in the locker room. You've already given Deshaun Watson a bag. You've already said that he's your starting quarterback. So I think they're going to just cut their losses, and I think he's going to just, to Devin's point, that he's going to latch on somewhere and be a backup. Like, I wouldn't be surprised. Hey, I'm gonna throw one at y'all. Tampa Bay. I could see him maybe like latching on in Tampa Bay, sitting there for a year, and because I think this is Tom Brady's last year for sure. This time, I think he's gonna go one last go around, and I could see him like sitting behind Tom Brady, learning behind him. You know what I'm saying? Sitting behind the GOAT, and then stepping in and being their future quarterback. So I think that's what's going to happen with him. In terms of Jimmy G, I just think that they're waiting. They're trying to teams are waiting them out. I think someone is going to make a move for Jimmy G. They're just waiting for the price to come down. So I think that from the reports I heard of that they were asking for a first round pick for Jimmy G or something like the some outrageous price that they was asking for Jimmy G. And so I just think teams are waiting them out, and they'll eventually move him because they've already committed to Trey Lance. So, again, same situation where they don't want that distraction, where they're going to want to have a clean, safe slate for him to be able to grow and to be their starter and to be their franchise. So I think they're going to move him. It's just teams waiting for the price to come down.
And real quick, I know I put John's question up. I thought they were solid questions. I do not think Miami is confident in Tua, but I do not think Baker's the replacement there.
No, same guy.
Yeah,
little quarterback.
Same guy, just right-handed. You got dynamic offense. If you bring somebody in, you're bringing in somebody that can get the ball down the field, that can make plays outside of the pocket, which both of them kind of can do. But I don't think they're the fit. New York, I would hate to see Baker in New York media. If the way he went through it in Cleveland, If he didn't like the way he was treated in Cleveland, he definitely the reversal ain't no way. So
I don't think
I
his skin is sticking up for New York.
And that New York media, I think that'll be bad for him. Freddie, what you got?
First off, I agree with Kenny. I believe Baker Mayfield will be released. I think the Browns are just waiting to see will Deshaun Watson be suspended, maybe, and they might keep him, for those games, let him play, and then once that situation is gone, they'll basically say, okay, you can go, and I believe it's going to be a situation where Baker's going to have to sit behind a veteran quarterback because we remember the reports that was out of Cleveland that they want an adult in the locker room. So that should tell you a lot, that he's going to have to be around somebody that's going to learn how to be a professional on and off the field. And when it comes to Jimmy G, are we really sure that I heard Kenny say that they're committed to the backup quarterback. I can't think of his name right now.
Trey Lance.
Yeah, Trey Lance. Are we really sure they're committed to him right now? Because we haven't seen him. And I believe with Kyle Shanahan as their coach, there's a reason why. But one thing we know about Jimmy G is, for some reason, you might don't like him, but he do find ways to win big games from time to time, and we've seen it a couple times. So, I think the 49ers are in that mindset where they're really scared of what they do. They don't know what that next step is. And honestly, there's not really a lot of teams that need a quarterback like Jimmy G in the NFL. I mean, you could say Atlanta. I mean, that's might be one. But other than that, man, I mean, a lot of these teams, just drafted quarterbacks. They just got younger quarterbacks. They've got, shake up around the league. So, I mean, it's interesting right now. I think they'll hold on to him for another year. Maybe we can see more of the Trey Lance and Jimmy G combination this upcoming season. But I don't see the San Francisco moving on from him this year.
Okay. Sean, what you got?
So, I'll go to Baker Mayfield first. I do believe that I think there is a fair shot that he stays on the Browns simply because the Panthers and the Browns were in talks for Baker Mayfield, and the circumstances were the Panthers were asking the Browns to take some of the hit, the cap, the dead money. That's the problem with the Baker Mayfield thing being released or traded or anything, is the dead money is really high. I think it's like 18 or 20 million. So he may just have to wait it out.
18.9 is his 5th-year option.
Right. So if the Browns aren't going to take any of that money, which it doesn't seem like they've been really open to doing that, I
release him though.
That's a salary cap hit.
It's a big cap hit. Yeah.
But I'm saying if they release him, that cap hit, the Browns would take the cap hit. Correct?
Right. That's why I'm saying I think he may just be sitting on the Browns bench, unfortunately, and not get his way. I do think the Browns handled the situation pretty poorly, even though I'm not a big Baker Mayfield guy. So yeah, I think in the end, maybe the Seahawks would be the only team where either Jimmy G or Baker at this point could possibly even go to start. They didn't even try for a quarterback, so maybe they're just in a mode where they don't even want to try to win now. At that point, they might as well just get rid of DK before they extend them. I'm not sure what that is. Now, so to be final, I think Baker stays on the Browns one more year. And I think Jimmy G, I believe the 49ers save a substantial amount of money if they release Jimmy G. I think it's like $25 million or something like that. I could see Jimmy G maybe going to Seattle, or I could see him sitting behind maybe one of these young rookie quarterbacks. He can learn from him. I don't see him being like a jerk or a bad teammate or anything. Maybe like a Jets, maybe a Dolphins, one of the Giants, any one of those teams that have a younger, unproven quarterback. Maybe if they get hurt or they slip up and Jimmy G can come in, he's proved he can win some games. But yeah, I think Baker stays, and I think Jimmy G eventually ends up getting released, and he'll either go to a Seahawks or he'll go somewhere and maybe sit on the bench, or God forbid any injuries happen, he can go to a team that could use a starting quarterback and win you some games.
Okay. So it sounds like there's a lot of different options available. I definitely think I don't see the incentive for Cleveland to release or trade Baker just because, like you said, that year is guaranteed. So unless somebody picks it up, which I would be shocked if anybody picked it up now, like I don't really see the point. And I forget, I think it was Sean, you were mentioning the Panthers, they drafted Matt Corral. Right. So that doesn't make a lot of sense. We saw
they still got Sam Darnold.
They still have Sam, and they're paying him that full 50-year deal. Also,
they're all the same quarterback. Sam Darnold, Jimmy G, and Baker. They're all the same quarterback.
Yeah. That's true. I could see the Giants if they start the year maybe 3-3, and maybe Dallas or Philly, or if it's competitive. I could see them, and Danny's not playing great since they're already not guaranteeing that last year.
When do
see them? Who's that?
I said, when do Danny play great?
They've tried to go out and get him some help, so I could see maybe them saying, "We got a chance to win the division. Let's go get Jimmy." Since his deal is a lot more friendly than Baker's. But outside of that, I definitely think, barring a couple significant injuries, I don't see how either quarterback moves, and I don't really see the incentive for either team to move them at any point, especially with Debo being up in the air. I don't know if you move Jimmy until you get that situation solidified either, because you definitely don't want to throw Trey out there with no receiver. And yeah, they can gadget you to death, but you still need some talent. So I wouldn't want him back there without more options to catch the ball.
Wasn't it Danny Jones that had like a neck injury or a back injury or something last year?
He always hurt.
So I mean that could play in a factor. I think Jimmy G to the Giants. I don't think it's too far fetched to think that could happen.
I think the key is,
Jimmy G also got an injury history also. True. So do you bring in a quarterback that's also injury prone too?
You do if that quarterback has gotten teams to playoffs in the Super Bowl and one hasn't got you into the playoffs.
Games.
San Francisco got a better team than the Giants.
They did. Well, we don't know. We don't know what this year holds, you know? Yeah. But no, it definitely would be interesting to see what kind of comes up with that. But as we were talking, about San Fran and Jimmy G, Debo has made it clear on social media and other places he's trying to get out of there. He don't want to be a running back anymore, and he wants his money. And given what we've seen from wide receivers this offseason and the money that they've gotten, what happens to Debo? I'll start with you, Freddie.
I believe they'll get a deal done. Hey, Kyle Shanahan knows how important Debo Samuel is to that team. We just had question marks. Who's the quarterback? And in my opinion, he helps both quarterbacks. If you have a Jimmy G, you have a guy that you don't have to really throw the ball to. You can give him anywhere in the position and say, hey, go make a play. And the same thing with Trey Lance as a young quarterback that's developing in this game, that you have a playmaker on the side of you. And I believe they'll get a deal done now that they see the landscape of, where all these other receivers went to, how much they got, and all that good stuff. Yeah, I expect them to get a deal done before the season starts.
Okay. Devin, what you got?
I see Debo out of there because he don't want to play running back. And he already kind of said it's not about the money. So if it's not about the money, it has to be somebody or something in that organization. And I think it's that running back spot. I don't like you seen Devontae get paid. Tyreek Hill, who started off as a special teamer. Now he's getting paid big buck as a wide receiver. So Debo was like, well, shit, I don't want to be a gadget player no more. I want to be a straight number one wide receiver. And I don't think that's in San Francisco plan. I think San Francisco, Kyle Shanahan is pretty much set in their ways with Debo. So I actually see Debo out of there. I just don't see a potential landing spot for him now. That's just the smoke out through yet.
You know what? That
you can come to DC.
I'm gonna say, but Carson Wentz ain't gonna give him the ball.
we can throw slants. We can throw a lot of slants. We can throw quick screens, smoke screens, slants.
And he can
also we call it the push pass where you run behind the line. We can do all that. We got all that.
I don't understand y'all because we've seen a lot of diva receivers, in football. Their main thing is them getting the football. They want to get the football. So what are you complaining about? You're getting the football. They're feeding you. Yes, it might be a different position. Yes, it might be a different way. But hell, you're getting the football. I mean, come on, bro.
Freddie, you know what this is?
He still has 77 receptions.
This is
Jimmy Graham 2.0.
Exactly. It's about the money. The slots for wide receiver, the salary slots for wide receiver are way higher than it is above for the running back. So that's the only reason why he's saying this stuff. If he was getting paid if he was going to get paid like wide receivers were, he would still be that slash guy. This is about money.
100%. So I know anytime somebody says it's not about money,
exactly,
it's about the money. And you can't tell me that he is coming up on his deal and he's seeing Hollywood Brown get traded for first. He's seeing Devontae Adams money. He's seeing Tyreek Hill money. He's seeing all these people will get all this money, and he just sitting there as the most valuable player on that team. He won his dollar and he wanted to be paid as such, and rightfully so. He's outperformed his contract. He should be compensated. Now, what that's going to take for him to get it is a whole different problem for him, but hopefully it does work out. Sean, what you got?
So I can tell you who you can blame for all these wide receivers wanting to be traded as the Jaguars for giving Christian Kirk up to $21 million a year.
Absolutely.
After that, it all snowballed after that.
Absolutely.
Nobody expected Devontae Adams to leave. Nobody expected Tyreek Hill to leave. These things weren't even mentioned. And then you see Christian Kirk's getting $21 million. I should get 40. And I do think Debo leaves, and I do see if the Packers can somehow find a way to fit him in their salary. It was reported that they offered Devontae Adams the same amount that the Raiders did. So if they can afford that, and they can find a way to do a deal with the 49ers to get Debo there, I can't think of a better place for him. He'll be 1A instantly, and he doesn't have to play running back because they have Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. So there are some teams that'll be lining up for him still at this point. I think he thought he would be traded by now. And at this point, he's too far in to go back on it. I don't know if you guys saw, he was in a club.
Oh, yeah.
It was like Debo staying with the 49ers, and he was like, nah, he did the cut thing. So I think the problem is, I don't think the 49ers would force him to play wing back if he doesn't want to play wing back. He's good enough of a player. He shouldn't want to get paid as a wing back and a wide receiver at that rate then. I think the problem is he doesn't want to be part of the rebuild, and he got to play with Trey Lance, and he probably saw – they're going to be a run team with Trey Lance. That's just who they're going to be. He's not going to come out and sling the ball. He's going to throw it less than even Jimmy G did, and the 49ers were already a running team. They have Elijah Mitchell. He doesn't have to play running back. I think that the bridges is burned too far for him to be able to go back and for them to get a long-term deal done. I could be wrong, but I see him getting moved to a team that could use a wide receiver one, which he still is, maybe the Packers. They keep coming to mind. They could still use a wide receiver, obviously. So I do think he gets moved sometime soon, actually.
That's an interesting point, the rebuild part, because I didn't really see San Francisco in the rebuild mode, especially coming off last year, huge win at Green Bay. Also, they've brought a lot of the people back. They didn't lose a ton of players per se. I do think there is some credence to a different scene. I just don't know with his skill set, if he goes somewhere and has to be a route running wide receiver, I don't know that that's his strongest ability. Tyreek Hill refined his route running as more than just a gadget fast guy. I don't know that Debo's there yet. But I definitely think there are a lot of places that could use his skill set. I don't know if you want to go from San Francisco to Green Bay, where you would be brought in to be the man, and we all know how Aaron Rodgers is. But no, that's a good point as far as if he views it as a rebuild and playing with Trey Lance and him being a more run-heavy in his contract year, obviously that could minimize his value.
Right.
So
especially if he doesn't want to play running back.
It's a good point. I didn't really hadn't factored into this, but I will say, if they give him a little more than Christian Kirk, I think he'll be fine. And obviously the guarantees may need to be higher because he's running the ball, taking a lot of collisions. But I think the money we saw Aaron Rodgers the bridge was burned and he was pissed off.
All you need is the right contract.
All is right after he got his money.
Correct.
Yeah, Devin, did we hear from you?
Yeah.
Okay. Kenny, we got you?
Yep, everybody jump in.
Okay, cool. Well, let's keep it moving in. To another wide receiver who has just come out, and I want to read a statement that he had, and I got to get it back up. Give me 2 seconds. But while I'm pulling that back up, NBA kicked off tonight with a bit of a surprise, and that the Sixers started well, and then didn't end so well. They had a 1-point lead at halftime. I think they lost by 10.
But it wasn't that close.
So, and it wasn't super close down the stretch. So not a terrible surprise. Hopefully Embiid can get back because clearly they need him. But we'll get into that in a little bit. Just wanted to give you guys an update before the next game starts off. But DeAndre Hopkins was found to have tested positive, and it's kind of a weird situation. So I'll kind of lay it out, and then we'll get into it. So he was tested in October and December, and it came back negative. However, his November test, and we're in May, so I don't know what took so long, but his November test came back positive for a banned substance. I've heard it on Twitter, so take it for what it's worth, that it was 3 different potential banned substances, one of which was like a raccoon tranquilizer, something crazy. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's just what supported. But he has come out with a statement and saying, "I have never tested positive for using performance-enhancing drugs. To learn that my November test came back with trace elements of a banned substance, I was confused and shocked. I am very mindful of what I put in my body, and obviously the internet's having a field day because this was an anti-vaccine person as well. So that's always good fodder in this situation. I am very mindful of what I put in my body and have always taken a holistic approach. So I am working with my team to investigate how this could have happened. But even as careful as I have been, clearly I wasn't careful enough. For that, I apologize to the Cardinals fans, my teammates, and the entire Cardinals organization. I never want to let my team down, and I will work to get to the bottom of this." So we've seen that tests and things, things happen. He was recovering from a pretty substantial injury that kept him out, which I believe could have played a role in maybe trying different medicines to get back to playing style. But it is what it is. Right now it's 6 games. He hasn't said if he's going to appeal, but as it stands,
I think he dropped the appeal.
He dropped his appeal?
That's why the punishment came out, that he dropped the appeal.
Okay. So it's not, according to Kenny, he is not going to appeal, but they're trying to figure out
this is not me. Adam Schefter was talking about it tonight.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
He said that he dropped the appeal, so that's why the suspension is in effect.
So with that information, Kenny, actually, I'll start with you. What do you think? What happens to D-Hop? How does this impact the perception of him? What just your overall thoughts?
I don't really have a whole lot of thoughts, to be honest with you. I just think it's just another one of those cases where a guy was trying to, recover from an injury and took something to try to get back faster, and it was tainted. So, I think that's really what it all boils down to, and I think that's why he ended his appeal, because he realized that he wasn't going to win the appeal. And so I just think it's just one of those situations where he was trying to get back and just made a mistake. I'm not going to judge him for it, because this is we get mad when the guys are low managing and are sitting out games when they're healthy Or so when a guy tries to push himself to try to come back early, I'm never going to complain about that. So, I just think it was a bad mistake. And, he's not the first. He won't be the last. And he'll suffer the consequences for it, and he'll be back. So, and again, I think that was, that spurred the Arizona to make the trade for Hollywood. And, we moved from there. And so it is what it is. He made a mistake, and he'll learn from it.
Yeah, and I went to his social media, and he did post, "See you week 7." So yeah, it seems like this is wrapped up. He'll lose about a little over $5 million. I saw from the suspension. Devin, your thoughts?
I'm a little disappointed because I'm a real big D-Hop fan. I've rooted for this guy since he first walked into the league. So for him to I understand he's trying to recover from an injury. And most of these substance that these NFL players try anyway is pretty much banned. So it's like I just think you should have tried to heal naturally. If you couldn't heal naturally, then you should have took a different route. I understand you tried to get a speedy recovery. You tried to come back as fast as you possibly can. But at the same time, now you're still hurting your team. You're still going to be absent. You're still going to be out for 6 games. And now it's potentially, Hollywood can be Hollywood. You know what I mean? And so I just think D-Hop's still a top 10 wide receiver in my eyes. We all going to make mistakes. Like I said, it just sucks that we have another wide receiver or another role player, period, get caught with this banned substance.
Okay. I'm with you, Freddie.
Yeah, this definitely not going to change my opinion with the talent I think of him. But I'm going to commend him. I'm going to commend him because at least he tried to get back on the field. Because we know an individual down there in Brooklyn who would not do what it took to get back on the court. So he tried to get back on the field. So I commend you, my brother. Hey, I'm not saying what you did was good. I wish, don't happen again because, your team definitely going to miss you because it's hard to replace DeAndre Hopkins. I don't care if you got Hollywood, if you have whoever. It's hard.
He's still number one. Hollywood all he want to.
So, yeah, that's where I'm at on that.
Okay. And Sean?
No, I agree. D-Hop has always been one of my favorite wide receivers in the league. I don't really think anything different of him. I mean, it sucks. I'm sure he wasn't doing anything malicious. He had no malicious intent. He probably was just trying to heal faster. I mean, if he's into holistic stuff, he probably did some stuff he didn't know was banned, or it was probably something he didn't know and he did it. He said sorry for it. He's going to serve 6-game suspension. It's going to hurt the Cardinals because they have all the same receiver on their team. D-Hop is like a tall guy that can go get it. They have nobody else on their team that can really do that. So
is AJ still down there?
AJ Green?
Yeah.
AJ's still there, and so is Ertz.
Yeah, AJ Ertz, and then
and then they have Rondell Moore and they have Andy Isabella. Yeah. But I mean, yeah, it sucks. I don't think anything different of him. I mean, I don't blame him. I don't blame the NFL for having to suspend him for it. I mean, it's the rules, so it sucks. I hope he gets back, and I hope he's still a top 5 wide receiver, probably in my opinion. So I'm sure he'll get right back to that.
So, and I'm with y'all. Like I hear everything that y'all saying, but I've heard a consensus here that this doesn't negatively impact his perception. He's cheating. Like, you can't do it. So I get the idea he was working his way back. A lot of people are working their way back despite what Freddie might think. Like, he cheated. He got caught. Why do y'all view him in this way when others have done lesser things or have been in the same situation and have been criticized for it? Why does he seemingly get a pass from y'all?
I guess because So I guess because what I've seen and known about D-Hop, he just doesn't seem like that type of person to me. So I don't have negative perception in my eyes, but I do believe that other people will, and I do think that it hurts his legacy, quote unquote, at least a little bit. I do think that.
And it's his first time for me. I think that's the biggest thing. That's the first time we ever seen anything from him.
I believe it's a whole. It's not just him in the NFL. You know, it's everybody. They just ain't get caught yet. You know what I mean? We still have a sport that still idolize steroid use really, and still letting these guys still be icons. So you know, I don't think D Hop made one bad mistake should be slapped against him.
Freddie?
No, it's not that would get him passed because he definitely was in the wrong and definitely need to learn from that mistake. But it's the first one, and hell, he's attempting to get back on the field. I mean, he's attempting to come back, and that's what a leader does. I'm not saying what he did was right. He just
a leader tries to get back on the field by taking banned substances.
No, Ray. He's trying to find different ways, different medicines and stuff, and they did not know is a certain ingredient in the medicine that he got caught slipping. Everybody get caught slipping every once in a while.
Everybody's giving him the benefit of the doubt. He got caught slipping. This was not
right. There you go. Put words in my mouth.
I'm asking. I'm just confirming that everybody's giving him a pass. This was an accident.
That's where I'm at.
It was a mistake.
One time mistake.
Yeah, it was just that one time. I ain't gonna say
long. Yeah. Now, if it happens again, then we have to question whether or not this is a pattern. But for one time thing, give the benefit of the doubt.
I'm gonna rock with y'all. I appreciate the support of the fellow man, but
Ray out here being the moral police.
We will see. What comes of it. But it is playoff basketball time. Playoff basketball time, ladies and gentlemen. The Suns and Mavs are about to tip off here shortly. The 1 seed versus the 4 seed. Dallas got over the hump last series. Phoenix was able to pull it out. Devin Booker is back and in the starting lineup. I don't know that he's on a minutes restriction from what I've heard. Obviously something to pay attention to. Hamstrings, you never know. He's had quite a few days off. But with that being said, last night we saw 2 home teams take L's, and the Grizzlies and the Celtics. So my question for you guys to start this off is, who's in more trouble, the Grizzlies or the Celtics? And I'll start with you, Devin.
I'm going to go ahead. I think the Grizzlies are in trouble. I really think the Grizzlies are in trouble for the fact that the Grizzlies plays off of momentum. They are a way more explosive team when things is going their way or things is going their right. Now you're going up against a Golden State team that pretty much seen it all. They already know how to play small ball. They know how to adjust to other team big man where they got Draymond playing your center. Ja Morant is not a real frequent 3-point shooter. Dillon Brooks, I don't know what's up with him. He just shooting for air. And Jared Jackson Jr., he can't stay out of foul trouble. If things can change out of that, I think Memphis can be a different type of beast. But I think Memphis had used all their guns and all their bullets against Minnesota. I think Minnesota kind of wore them down just a little bit. I'm not saying this is a sweep because, like I said, Memphis is an explosive team. Memphis is going to squeak one out, whether it's by a lucky bucket by Ja Morant or one day Golden State this might have an off night. But I really think the Grizzlies will maybe more trouble than the Celtics.
Okay. Sean.
In my opinion, I honestly think both teams are in a lot of trouble. But if I had to pick, I'm going to say the Celtics. And I'm going to say the Celtics because I don't like how they match up against the Bucks at all. They didn't do a very good job of stopping Giannis. Obviously, game 1, nobody really does. But they lost the game without Middleton. He's obviously out for the series in Boston. I think that's a worse loss than the Grizzlies. But the Grizzlies and the Warriors are I'm so back and forth with this. They were both bad losses. Neither team could really afford that loss. I still have the Grizzlies winning in 7. Now, granted, they shouldn't have lost game 1 with Draymond getting ejected in the second quarter. You can't lose that game, especially with the lead. But I think the Celtics are out of there in 5. So I guess I would have to go ahead and say the Celtics. I don't like how they match up against the Bucks at all.
And Sean, just to be clear, and Devin, if you want to jump in after this, so you said you see Memphis winning a game 7 against Golden State.
Yeah, in Memphis. I think it goes 7.
Okay. Devin, it looked like you had some thoughts on that Bucks in 5.
Now, the only way I see the Bucks in 5 is if they go out there, the Celtics go out there and shoot 50-something 3-pointers again. I just think Milwaukee they played physical, and Boston wasn't ready for that. Boston had trampled all over Brooklyn and was like, all right, we the big dogs, we the big C's now. And Milwaukee was like, no, hold on, dog. We was champs last year, and we're gonna show y'all by being more physical. And I think that's what threw the Celtics off, was that the Bucks was way more physical. Giannis wasn't scared of the triple team. He was still being assertive. He was being passive. So I don't see the Celtics losing in 5. If so, I can see that. I can see that series maybe going to 6. But if Boston don't play physical, it's a possibility that Sean might be right.
It's the thing that scares me is so obviously the Celtics pretty much dominated the Nets in the first round, and I think obviously KD played pretty poorly, as well did Kyrie. Mm-hmm. I think Steve Nash is just an absolutely garbage coach.
Oh, he got both.
Mike Budenholzer is a good coach. So the Celtics do have a great defense, but I think we're going to see much more adjustments from the Bucks, who have been slept on, honestly, even though they are the reigning champions. So they obviously have the confidence. They have the guys that can lock you up. They have the Drew Holiday. If Bobby Portis is going to give you 20, they obviously have, in my opinion, the best player in the world in Giannis. They have Wesley Matthews, who's pretty good on defense. They have Brook Lopez, who's been on almost all season, so he has partially fresh legs. They have a lot of pieces that really no team can match up with. So I just don't like the matchup for the Celtics, even with Middleton out.
You don't think the Suns is still a good matchup?
I think the Suns are. I think it's going to be the Suns and Bucks again, if I had to pick right now.
Well, right now the Suns are up 11-4. Just got an and 1 for DeAndre Ayton. Mavs have a bunch of turnovers early, so Suns look good. They've come out game 1 ready.
I may be biased. I'm a Suns supporter.
Understand that.
I'm a Devin Booker fan.
I am as well. But I will, I guess, ask, or I guess I'll make the point. Sean, you said that I think it was you said Giannis had a good game. I thought Giannis played pretty poorly, to be perfectly honest. I think he was like 6 of 18. He was really inefficient. I think he only had 24 points. He did have the triple-double, right. So he found another way. I've seen that from Ja Morant in the playoffs. His scoring has been inconsistent, but his rebounds and assists have been up significantly. But I think that, to me, is why I slightly lean that Boston was in more trouble, because Giannis didn't play that well, and they didn't look like they were ready. And so I think they will adjust, certainly. But if, Allen, who I can't stand, is going to continue to shoot like he's been shooting recently, and Bobby Portis is going to play the way he's been playing, it seems the reason that could be a bad matchup. And I'm okay with Jason Tatum in big moments. I still don't know if I trust Jaylen Brown yet. And I've been hesitant to jump on the Boston bandwagon for that reason. I've been very hesitant for that reason. The Al Horfords, the Jaylen Browns, the Marcus Smarts, when it comes to hitting big shots down the stretch, if Tatum doesn't have it going, I think Boston has a hard time. Memphis, it was a tough loss. I do think it's a bad loss with Draymond getting ejected, but I don't think that Golden State's going to continue to out-rebound them either. Like, that just shouldn't happen. I think that's an easy fix with effort. I think you can adjust the lineup some. I do think Golden State and Draymond will be motivated to try and get still 2 in Memphis, which I think would put a ton of pressure on a really young team. But right now I'm going to lean Boston being in more trouble just because Milwaukee just proved what they can do last year. And I think most people are in agreement with you, Sean. Giannis is the best player on the planet, and they don't have a matchup for him. Jason Tatum can't do nothing with him. Marcus Smart can't do nothing with him. You just hope that he's inefficient. Even if he's inefficient, to your point, Brook Lopez played big in the middle. And I think that's the other part that's not getting enough, or we haven't really talked about, is Boston's inability to score in the paint poses itself to be a big problem long term. Mm-hmm. Like, it was a layup line last series, and you can't get the easy buckets to get going. It just makes it that much more difficult. So I'm leaning Boston right now, but I've been hesitant on Boston really all year, so that's not a huge surprise. Kenny, what you got?
I think both teams are in trouble, but I think Memphis is in more trouble because they played with fire in that first round with Minnesota. And now you're playing against an experienced playoff-tested team. And so I think that their immaturity is going to come. We already saw it in the first game, that the immaturity came to bite them in the butt. So I think that Memphis is in more trouble. You got guys that are struggling with their shot. In terms of Ja's been struggling with his shot. Dylan Brooks has been struggling with his shot. Jaren Jackson's been struggling with his shot. And you got to be able to score to be able to keep up with Golden State. So, and the fact that they're so streaky offensively, I think that's why they're in more trouble. I think Boston does have shot makers. Jason Tatum is a shot maker, and Jaylen Brown is a shot maker. He's dealing with the hamstring issue. So maybe that's kind of hampering him a little bit. But I think Milwaukee just made shots. I think the role players made shots yesterday. That's why they look so good, with Giannis not playing well. So when you got Grayson Allen knocking down shots, and Wes Matthews knocking down shots, and Bobby Porter and Brook Lopez knocking down shots, then you're going to be in for a long night. So I think it's one of those things where they just shot the lights out, and I don't see them consistently being able to do that like they did on game one. So I think this is going to be a longer series than I think that this series is going to be 6 or 7. And I think that Memphis is going to be out in there in 5 or 6. So I got Memphis in more trouble.
Okay. So we've kind of started down that path. So we'll wrap it up, and I'll start with you, Kenny. So what are your predictions? Who moves on in this round?
Yeah. So I got Phoenix. I got Phoenix winning in 5 or 6. I just think that they have no size. That DeAndre Ayton's going to have a big series. So Dwight Powell, I think he's just going to really have his way with him, between him and JaVale McGee. And I'm just not sold on Dallas as the shot makers as well. Like, if Luka doesn't score 30 a night, then they're going to really struggle to stay in the series long term. So I got Phoenix at 5 or 6. Like I said, I got Golden State in 5 or 6. So I got those two in the Western Conference Finals, and then I got Milwaukee and man, I honestly wanted to pick Philly. I really did want to pick Philly, but I can't pick them with Embiid being up in there, even though they say he may be back by game 3. We don't know how effective he's going to be, and he's also dealing with a thumb injury. So I just think that everything is not lining up for Philly. So I think it's going to be Milwaukee, and I got so I'll say Milwaukee in 6 or 7 versus Boston, and then the Heat in 5 or 6.
Okay. Sean, who you got?
So in the Western Conference, I agree. I have the Suns in probably 5 or 6. Not every team has a Mikal Bridges and a Jay Crowder and a Cam Johnson who can really – you can put on Luka. You're not going to shut him down, but you're going to make it hard on him where he's not going to be able to be as efficient, and he's going to be wearing down on the defensive end as well from having to work so hard on offense. Phoenix is just a very tough matchup with all those guys, especially if Devin Booker's hamstring is going to hold up. I have I'm going to say Phoenix, and I'll say 5. I have the Grizzlies in 7. I do think we haven't seen the best of Ja scoring in the playoffs yet. To me, he hasn't even been the best scorer on the team for most of these playoff games. It's been Bane.
Absolutely.
And if it wasn't for him, they might not even have beat the Timberwolves, honestly. So if Ja turns it around, and I'm going to say when Ja turns it around, the Grizzlies are going to be a tough out. I have to believe that it's going to be Grizzlies in 7. I'm going to stick to my initial prediction. I think they win Game 7 in Memphis. In the East, I have the Heat, and even with Embiid coming back, I had the Heat winning. With Embiid back, I'm assuming Game 3, I have the Heat in 6. Without him, I'll have the Heat in 5. I just don't like that matchup for the 76ers. I don't like how Harden's playing. He's going to have to give you 25 or 30 for you to be able to beat that team. And it just doesn't seem like he's that player anymore for whatever reason. So I don't have very much faith I have the least faith in the 76ers out of any team. And I have the Bucks winning I'm going to say 5. I have the Bucks winning in 5.
Wow. Okay. Devin, what you got?
In the West, I got Phoenix beating Dallas in 5. I just think Phoenix is an all-around better team. I think Luka going to have to drop 60 a game to you beat. I don't think he has enough support and cast enough around him to beat Phoenix. I got Golden State in 6. Like I said before, I think Memphis had exerted all their energy on Minnesota. If Ja not going to be explosive every night, which he's capable of doing, but on the other side, if y'all not going to stop my man Poole, then if you keep letting Poole have free range and then y'all open up Steph and Clay, then it's really no contest. Golden State is going to shoot you out the water, and the Grizzlies is not a good 3-point shooting team, really. If Bane is not on that night, Memphis is not shooting good behind that arc.
Jaren Jackson looked great.
Just for that game, because then he got a foul trouble. Now, what if Draymond Green getting his head again, or Draymond Green getting his head and go get him in foul trouble? Then, Memphis is right back to how they was in Minnesota. Out of the East, I hate to do my man James Harden like this, but I think the Brooms grade come out. I don't care if Embiid is back or not. I just think if Embiid didn't play this first game, that was their chance. Harden is not going to drop 70. Harden hamstring can barely even get him to 20 now. So I have no faith in Philly no more. I think Miami can breeze on through. And I've been riding with Boston since the end of the season because I like their defense. I believe in Tatum. I think Tatum has finally shown that he can be a top 10 player in this league. And he should be mentioned as a top 10 player in this league.
Absolutely.
I think Boston can escape in a 7-game series. I think it's not going to be pretty, and I don't think it's going to be too easy. But I just feel like if Grayson Allen is not going to shoot 45% behind that 3-point every night, they don't have no really consistent 3-point shooter outside of Grayson Allen other than Pat Connaughton. But Pat Connaughton is like a J.R. Smith. 1 minute he's there, the next minute you forget he's on the floor. So I think Milwaukee going to have to consistently shoot that 3 or consistently either be a 60% all-around game. And if Milwaukee can't do that without Chris Middleton, I think Boston can adjust and escape in Game 7.
I don't know with Boston winning a Game 7. The reason I'll say that is the last 3 closeout games that Giannis has played in, he's been amazing. I watched what he did to Brooklyn to put them away. I watched what he did to Phoenix to put them away last series. So I think Boston will have, and granted it would be at home, but I think it'll be tough to get him out of there in a Game 7. But I'm going Bucks in 6. I'm trying to think. I don't even know how Philly wins a game if Embiid don't come back. Like, I think they might still want if Maxey goes nuts, but I think
need all three of them to go nuts. Maxey, Harden, and Tobias Harris.
You need Tobias Harris.
Yeah, all three of them got to score 25 plus for them to win.
And I don't see it. I mean, it could happen. Bam or Hero getting foul trouble. Obviously, injuries are the great equalizer. So assuming everyone's healthy, I'm with Devin. I think they get him out there in 4. If Embiid doesn't come back, if he does, I think Embiid can get you a game because it's an eye face injury. It's not like a hand, leg. So it's not something like that would inhibit him from playing well, but it's just something you got to probably wear a mask for and all that, which I don't think would be a problem. So if he comes back, I think they get him in 5. If he doesn't, I think they sweep him. I think Phoenix gets it done in 5, and I think Golden State gets it done in 6 because they don't want to go 7 and then have to go play Phoenix. So I think they'll be motivated. But I tell you this, Memphis better win game 2. If Memphis don't win game 2, it might be over early. I do not have a lot of faith in them going
into game series if they don't.
Yeah, so they got to win game 2 to get 2-6. Which is possible. For everything we saw, Jaren Jackson went nuts. Ja was decent. Bane kind of came back to earth. They only lost by 1. They had chances to win it, and I think they could easily make the adjustments. But the loss at home for them, I think, is tough coming off the series they just came off of. But that's what I got. So we'll see what happens.
I don't see Clay missing 2 free throws again down the line like that again.
But you can say you don't see Dillon Brooks only having 3 or 5 points or whatever he had. He was horrendous game 1 too.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Jordan Poole was up and down last series. He had a couple 30s and then he had some 8 and 11s. So he's also someone that, he can get going and be great.
But he's coming off the bench now, so you may not necessarily need that as long as I know, but I'm saying you may not need him to do that 25 plus if Steph and Clay are doing what they need to do.
Hey, if Baby Glove can go out here and play like he played, like
sheesh,
man, you know what I mean. It makes Golden State even more dangerous because that guy's playing lights out defense. You get him and Draymond on that defensive clip, then it might be tough for Memphis.
And Iggy is also out, so that could play a role too as far as their rotation to get another body along, a body back as well.
They'll just plug in Kuminga.
He played well last night. He had kind of fallen out the rotation.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't think Iggy was really going to be a factor in the playoffs anyway.
Oh man, just casting him aside. Okay.
Hey, Father Time, man.
He is undefeated. Just to give a quick update, Phoenix is up 10. First quarter is coming to an end, 33-23. Dallas is battled back a bit to stay in it. Phoenix's defense looks really good. Very few good open looks for Dallas, but Luka just got a bucket, so it's an 8-point game as Phoenix tries to close out the quarter here. That's a block. I don't know if Cam Johnson will be shooting 2 or not, but we'll definitely keep you updated on that. So that we talked about who we're picking. It looks like Philly, most people don't have much faith in them. Chris Paul's here, Doc Rivers is here, James Harden is here in these playoffs, Giannis and others. But who do you guys think has the most pressure to perform or win in these playoffs? And I'll start with you, Devin.
I'm gonna say Booker. I think Booker has something to prove. I think I had a couple of conversations where people kind of think Ja Morant is better than Devin Booker, or Ja Morant should be mentioned more than Devin Booker. And I think Devin Booker is going to have a lot of pressure to show that he should be mentioned in this MVP conversation. Devin Booker should be mentioned as a top 5 player in his league. I think Devin Booker is not that far from being third best in the world, honestly.
Real quick, Devin, because I do got to interrupt because I'm in a group chat, and so I'm glad you're saying this. So I'm gonna pose this question to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And the situation that came up was this: a gentleman in my group chat said that Jordan Poole is currently constructed is a slightly less of a player than Devin Booker. Basically, he was arguing that you could almost swap them out and get a similar result.
He's considerably less of a player.
No, you can't swap
Okay.
His body of work's not long enough yet.
Yeah,
Devin
and you're benefiting off of all of the open looks that you get playing with Stephen Clay.
Right. Look at KD.
It's not even close.
In Brooklyn.
Cool. I just needed that video clip. I'll make sure to send that to my people because I thought he was nuts.
No knock on Jordan Poole though. He's a beast.
No, he's a hooper.
Yeah,
he's a big time hooper. He gonna get the bag this summer.
Yep.
Oh yeah,
gonna get a bag this summer.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I think he's not up till next year.
6 man a year.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Jalen Brunson.
Jalen
Brunson is the free agent, not Jordan Poole.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets 6 man a year one of these years before he become a legit starter.
He's gonna start somewhere soon.
Yeah, he's nowhere. He's not. He don't have the same body work as no Devin Booker though.
Next year, the Warriors will have not this next year, but the year after that, the Warriors gonna have some money decisions to make.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah,
they got to figure something out. But I definitely agree. But go ahead. I know I interjected there.
Yeah, I just think the pressure is on Devin Booker because he most definitely trying to show that he's a top 2 guard in this league. I believe he's the second of Kobe. I'm not trying to say he's going to fill all of Kobe's shoes, but as far as that integrity, that chemistry, that dog in him, I think he has that Kobe it in him. So I think he got a little bit more pressure. And most definitely that, especially if he get a chance to get at the Bucks one more time in the championship, I think he's really going to show out and show that he's not no fluke.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Finish. I got a question, but go ahead.
Go ahead. I'll finish.
So you mentioned the Kobe mold, and there's another guy in Boston that kind of fits that Kobe mold.
Tatum.
You got to pick between Tatum or Booker.
I'm taking Booker. It will be a hard decision, but I think I'm gonna go ahead and ride with Booker.
If Tatum's gonna play the defense that he played round 1, I'm taking Tatum.
That's why, and the length.
But it's very close.
Yeah, it's close.
And the length.
That's
close. Why I'm going with Tatum.
I think Booker is more efficient scorer than Tatum. I think Tatum.
That's fair.
I think Tatum tries a little bit too hard, and he may put up some shots. He'd be like, "Yo, why is you shooting that?" Versus Devin Booker come down and be kind of smooth with it. He'd be like, "Oh, all right, he's feeling himself now," So I still choose Booker. It wouldn't be like a far-fetched pick. I wouldn't be like, "Oh, I'm choosing Booker."
No,
and
you
that's
can make a case for either guy.
Yeah.
Okay. Sean, who's under the most pressure?
So when you first posed this question just a couple minutes ago, the first person that popped in my mind was Chris Paul, but I think only because his time window is running out. I'm sure he can. That's my favorite player, so I think he can play another couple 2-3 years. I mean, he's still great, but I mean his window's running out. But the more I thought about it, the more my answer is Doc Rivers, and I believe. First of all, I think he's going to be scrutinized because I believe Joel Embiid got injured when they were up like 20 and the game was already put away. So first of all, he's going to have to hear about that.
He already is.
He already here.
That's what I'm saying. And it's going to be even worse if and when, in my opinion, they lose this series. And I think he gets fired if they lose the series pretty bad. And I don't know if he gets another gig anywhere. Philly sports are not easy on coaches and players, especially. And with his track record of blowing series leads and being in a position to do these great things and always finding a way to lose, I think he may be under the most pressure. Now, I believe he may get a slight pass because of Embiid being injured, even though you could argue that it was his fault that Embiid is injured. But, that my answer is going to be Doc Rivers. But also I think that Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert were under the most pressure in this playoffs, and I believe if they were first round exit, they were going to blow the whole thing up from the coach down, and I think that was the people who were under the most pressure, and I think that's what's going to happen now.
Jazz is just underachievers.
There's already a report out there. Gobert went to the front office and said either me or Mitchell got to go.
I think Gobert out of there.
I trade them both. I think Shaq has been clear. I stand beside him, and I don't think Donovan Mitchell is a 1.
No,
I don't even know if he's a 2 because he doesn't get anyone else involved as a playmaker. Where Devin Booker and Jason,
I think he's a 2 on the right team.
What team that's left do you think he'd be a 2 on besides maybe Memphis?
I like him on the Knicks. I see a lot of reports of him on the Knicks.
Well, he'd probably be a 1.
Yeah, he'd be a 1 in New York, and that'd be a 1 and done at best. Again,
he would be. Yeah, he'd be a 1 with. I think he's at his best when he's the second guy. I think it's tough when you have to count on him to be your number 1, because I think it's one of those issues where he's kind of a little undersized as a 2, and it's one of those things where, and even kind of and you think about it, where even with D Wade, like who the guy a lot of people compare him to, but D Wade was at his best when LeBron shifted from being the number 2 to the number 1. That's when they really took off. So I think it's one of those similar situations to where I think if Mitchell goes somewhere and he becomes a number 2, that he would be able to take off. Like maybe the Lakers.
That's not a good fit.
Do you put him with LeBron and AD? But I don't think Utah takes Russ off their hands unless they just want the cap space. But maybe there where he could be the number 2 and then AD be number 3, because I think that's AD when he's at his best, when he's not asked to be the featured guy, where he is kind of able to go float in and out and be the guy and then play defense. So maybe that's a place for him.
I see Levine ending up on the Lakers. It's already been being reported. I think it's a good fit for them.
Well, that's another one too, especially because of his youth as well.
Right.
Because you got AD who's 28, 29, and LeBron being kind of on his last legs.
Right.
You could combine him with AD, and they could kind of ride it out together.
You mean LeBron by itself, because neither one of them can really stay healthy.
That's fair. That's fair. But for me, man, I think, Sean, you alluded to it. To me, I think Chris Paul is under the most pressure in these playoffs because, again, at the age that he is, we don't know how long he's going to be able to maintain that. We know, of course, he keeps himself in great condition. He always has these nagging injuries, but for the most part, he keeps himself in tip-top shape. So he may have some bad luck with injuries, but the fact of the matter is that he's 37 years old, or about to be 37 years old, and so he's already had one shot, one chance for that at a ring and missed it. And this year where he's coming in, where he's the number 1 seed, best overall record in the league, best team in the league all season long. There hasn't been any question as to who the number 1 team has been in the league all season long. So to me, like this is your best chance. Like if it doesn't happen now, then when will it ever happen? So to me, with all of those things, I think that's what puts all of the pressure on Chris Paul.
No, I'm good with that. I actually could think I might lean with Sean in that if Chris Paul doesn't win this year, they've paid everyone except Ayton. And I'm not the biggest Ayton fan. I think Chris Paul, they could run it back and still be competitive. Golden State will get a little older. I think Memphis will get better and younger. And the West is still the West. Kawhi and PG could come back. Like the Lakers will probably make some kind of Laker moves. So there's definitely no guarantee. But I agree with Sean. I didn't know that he felt this way, but I feel like Doc has a history of blunders, and it's gone slightly under the radar right now, but that Embiid decision was an awful decision. And I believe he's the reason Ben Simmons is not in Philly. I know Embiid had some comments after, but I think when Doc said, I don't know if we can win with him as a point guard, I think that held more weight. And I think that has caused Ben to also spiral. Now, Ben got some other issues, which hopefully he can work out here soon, but I think Doc holds at least half, if not more than half, the blame for that. So you had to trade him. You had to bring in James Harden, who by all accounts we knew was washed, which didn't move the needle much at all. And now you potentially will go out in 4 or 5 because you were trying to overcompensate because of the media reports of you blowing leads. And I think that's the reason why Joel Embiid was in the game.
Mm-hmm.
It was a pride issue where he was trying to say, yeah, I'm up a bunch. Yeah, I closed out the series. And now I'm going to have my best player out here to send a point. And now he caught the point of an elbow. And now he's potentially out for this whole series, which is going to potentially ruin their season. So I agree. I think if Doc gets fired, I think there's a bunch of people that love him and would vouch for him. But I think front offices would really have to look at, is he going to be the guy that take us over the hump? And I don't think he wants to coach a rebuild, but do I trust him with my superstars? No. We saw how the Clippers ended. We're seeing how Philly's going. Like, he doesn't have a great history. We saw the chaos that ensued in Boston with the players and everything. Like, I just don't know that.
They won a championship.
They did, but they still ain't taking pictures together. So, like, yes, they did win that ring, but they also got destroyed on their way out. So, I don't know that he's the greatest coach of great talent outside of that 1 year, and thank God he got that, or he'd be looked at very differently. So I'm going to lean Doc, although I think Chris Paul is definitely up there. But part of the reason I don't think Chris is under as much pressure is I think everyone sees that Devin Booker's the guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's a complimentary piece at this point and a very valuable one. And Luka's currently down. I didn't see what happened.
He got kicked in the private area.
Okay.
When Jay Crowder's attempted jumper, he got kicked.
Yeah. All right, so it's not as bad. I mean, it's not good.
Jay Crowder might get a flagrant for that too.
Yeah.
I really think they're looking at it. He really might.
Oh no, that looks pretty deliberate.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I think they might even eject him.
I think you definitely have to upgrade to the one. And after what we saw yesterday,
he just kicked his leg out. Stop.
They're going to give him a flagrant. 100%. They're going to give him a flagrant.
He kicked his leg out on the 3. That's an offensive foul.
Let's see this. If Draymond did the exact same thing, it's a flagrant 2.
Stop. He kicked his leg out on the 3. That's an offensive foul. That's all.
I mean, Jay Crowder gets some of the.
You don't even think they'll upgrade it?
No. That's an offensive foul. That's the rule. You kick your leg out on the 3.
That was way worse than what Draymond did.
All kicks are not created equal, and that looked with intent. That's all.
Oh, come on.
In my eyes, that's worse than what Draymond did. No, I don't think what Draymond did.
Come on, you pulling a guy out the air? That's worse.
He was trying to hold him. He's a big guy.
You can't hold nobody in the air once you start pulling on a guy when he's in the air. You can't hold him up.
I hear you.
In my opinion, neither one should be a flagrant, not Draymond or this one. But
no, I think for Draymond, that should have been a flagrant 1. Right. I don't think it should have been a flagrant 2. That's a flagrant 1.
This is flagrant, and this is a flagrant 1.
Yep, they gave him a flagrant 1, I think.
Oh my gosh, this league is getting
NBA.
There was intent.
Intent for what? Every time somebody kicks their leg out on the 3, that's a flagrant foul.
Look at how his legs kick. Come on now.
But that's the rule that when you kick out your leg on a 3 attempt, that's an offensive foul. That's not a flagrant.
But you don't think that is not anywhere close to his regular shooting motion. And he kicks his leg.
That's nobody's shoot motion when they kick out their leg. Reggie Miller made this famous. That's why they created the rule.
He lucky to still
be carried away, man.
He lucky to still be in the game. But I digress. So it seems like a lot of people are leaning Phoenix in this series and probably pretty easily. Obviously, Sean, you have Memphis moving on. But based on what you've seen thus far, who would you say is the favorite to win it all? And I'll start with you, Kenny.
Oh, man. It's a toss-up for me because I agree with Sean, and I think that we're going to get the a final repeat matchup. And I think it all depends on whether or not Chris Middleton comes back. If Chris Middleton is not back, then I got Phoenix. But if Middleton comes back, then I got Milwaukee. So it's all. I hate to kind of straddle the fence, but to me, that's he makes the difference because, again, you got that bad matchup with Giannis with Phoenix. They really have nobody to guard him. And then you got to deal with Chris Middleton when he's hitting shots, and you got all those other guys now that's spreading the floor and hitting shots, and Drew Holiday. So I just think that I just think it's a bad matchup for them all around. So I'm just gonna go Milwaukee. I'll go Milwaukee.
And so just quick, so you seem to be discarding Miami, who probably will be fresh going into that matchup. You don't think Miami poses a problem for Milwaukee?
I don't, because especially if Milwaukee is hitting shots, I'm just not sure that they have the offensive firepower in terms of Miami to keep up with them. And then I do think that they can match them physically. I think the physicality. I think they can match them. I think Bam will. I think they'll put Bam on Giannis and take their roll the dice with Brook Lopez and let him get busy. So I do think they have a matchup for Giannis where they got somebody that they can guard. And they put Jimmy Butler on them as well too to kind of harass him a bit on the perimeter. So they got a couple of guys that they can throw at Giannis, but I just don't think offensively. And then the other thing for Miami is when you're struggling is who you going to get you a bucket. Like that's my problem that's always been my problem with Miami. Is
Hero Jimmy Buckets.
But that's his nickname. But to me, I don't really see him as a closer like that. Like I'm just not convinced that he's going to be the guy that's going to be. And then to me, it's that same thing when we're talking about a number one or number two. I don't think he's a number one. So I think if Jimmy Butler's your number one, I don't think you're going to be able to win a championship. I think you win a championship with Jimmy Butler's your number two or your number three.
Oh, okay. Hot take. Devin, what you got?
I'm gonna ride with Phoenix. I think Phoenix. This is the year Phoenix can do it. I think Phoenix will match up, but they the only team that can match up with Milwaukee. I'm not sleeping on Miami, but just like what Kenny said, I can't really sell myself and say Jimmy Buckets is going to be your leader, go-getter every night. You're going to want him to play. I'm pretty sure you got PJ Tucker that can also play Giannis too.
Yeah, true.
But it's going to be times that Jimmy's going to have to play Giannis. And if Jimmy going to have to play Giannis and be your number one scorer, I don't think Jimmy can do that. And I'm not really sold on Tyler Hero being your consistent 20-point scorer throughout the whole series. So I just like Phoenix. I think Phoenix is a complete team. Like y'all was saying, I think Chris Paul window is closing, so that gives him a little bit more motivation. And I already stated for D Booker. D Booker is just, I believe, is not that far from being the best player in the league. So I like Phoenix.
Okay. Sean?
So my simple answer is also going to be Phoenix for a lot of the reasons he just said. The other reasons being they have a lot of guys that can really defend, and they have Cam Johnson healthy off the bench. They have Cameron Payne off the bench. They have JaVale McGee, who he's been decent. They have him off the bench. Now, what I don't like for Phoenix is getting a matchup against the Warriors. If I'm Phoenix, I don't want that matchup with the Warriors. I want the matchup with the Grizzlies because of the Warriors' experience and just obvious reasons. I mean, the Warriors can hit you every way. I mean, Steve Kerr's been there before. Curry's been there before. But I think the short answer for me is Phoenix. And I like them to be able to beat the Bucks after the Heat and the Bucks have a real tough 6-7 game series that's really, really physical with or without Middleton. I think Bam can kind of not guard Giannis, but he can do a better job than most other defenders can because he does have size. He can move. I think that takes a little bit of a toll on – I think it's going to be a raw physical series, the Heat and the Bucks, and I think that's going to take a toll. I think the Suns end up winning in 7 in the finals. That'd be my prediction as of right now.
Okay. I'm going to go a little more heart over head here. And a matchup I would like to see. I'm going to go Warriors Bucks in the finals. And I think Steph solidifies his legacy. I think he finds a way to get it done. I don't think Golden State defensively matches up great. I don't think Draymond can do really anything with Giannis. Granted, he played Jokic about as well as you can, but
different animal.
I just think the offensive firepower, I don't know if Milwaukee being as big as they are, if they would have to just kill Golden State on the glass to offset what they can do, because I think that's a tough defensive matchup with the way they run their offense and move without the ball. Giannis also has the propensity to get offensive fouls with the way he plays, which I think Miami would definitely take advantage of. So, and just real quick, Dallas just got a 4-point play, so it's Reggie Book has a chance to get it down to 9. So I'm going Warriors. I think the Warriors get it done. They return back. It's also a big, and I don't think they would mean it this way, but a big thumb their nose at Kevin Durant, who has been highly criticized for leaving Golden State, and I think this would just further put that nail into the coffin of that narrative as well, that Golden State couldn't win, and Kevin Durant, everything that he meant to them. Luka just hit a 3 as well, so we have ourselves a 6-point game with 6 minutes left.
It's a 4-point game.
It's a what? What do you got? 4. Luka
and the Mavericks have the ball.
My streaming's a little far behind. You probably missed in the corner, so apologize, Sean.
All good.
Quicker update. But yeah, Dallas is 9 of their last 13 from 3. And I see the alley-oop there. So yes, we have ourselves a 4-point game, and I don't know what has transpired since then, but definitely a lot more competitive. Dallas is not going away here, even though they got off to the bad start. And a turnover by Phoenix. So before we get out of here, we do got to talk about it. The foul seen around the world yesterday. And Jay Crowder got away with a flagrant 1. So Sean, I'll start with you. Was Draymond's foul, should it have been a flagrant 2?
Absolutely not. No, in no universe should that be a flagrant 2. I'll give it a flagrant 1. If this is playoff basketball, it's a physical game. I mean, he's going up against a taller guy. I mean, there was no malicious. I don't think he really tried to hurt him. I do think his track record of having flagrants, especially in the playoffs, did come into play, and it's unfortunate. I didn't like the call for playoff basketball. I think a flagrant 1 would have sufficed at that point, in my opinion.
Oh, my bad. Okay, I hear you. Freddie magically has popped back in from wherever he's been hiding. Devin, I'll go to you before we get others involved.
I think the NBA is getting soft. Because just by
getting it is soft.
just by grabbing a guy's shirt and you call him the flagrant, it's been a couple plays throughout the whole NBA, the whole season where you could have called a flagrant then, but last night that was not a flagrant. That was just a hard foul. In my opinion, I don't think Draymond meant to grab his jersey. I think he maybe meant to grab his arm, maybe, or his hand just got caught up where it shouldn't have been, and he caught the guy while he was in the air. And That's just off. I don't think it's flagrant at all.
Come on, bro.
Not a flagrant at all?
Not a flagrant at all.
Come on, bro.
Yeah, I can't go with you on that.
Hey, somebody pull me. We hooping. We playing 1-on-1.
Yeah,
you pull me by my
I'm in the air. Yeah,
but like,
I
don't think he.
Even if, but
you know,
even if you didn't,
he wanted to. I just think his hand.
I understand. I understand. Even if you didn't mean to do it, even if it was an accident, if I'm in the air and you grab my jersey, like, yo, that's putting me in danger. Like, I have no control of my body once you grab my jersey and I lose control of my body. Like, that's the dangerous play. So that has to be a flagrant foul.
Once you go in the air, you don't have no control, period. Once you go in the air,
you can control where you land. Now, I can't control where I land if you grabbing my jersey while I'm in the air.
And a couple of players that came down funny, just by them just jumping up, dunking, or trying to grab a rebound.
I understand that, but again, if I jump in the air and you pull me forward from where I was originally controlling my body to now where I'm leaning forward and I don't have control of how I'm going to land, like that's a flagrant foul.
The way I look at it, it was a deserved flagrant 2 because the first one, the rules is you hit somebody in the head area, that's a flagrant 1. Okay, that's the rules. That's what the referees go by. And then it's like you pull by the jersey, he in the air. What happens if he crack his head? What happens if he?
But it didn't happen. We can't.
But you still got to call it the same, Kenny. I mean, I'm right. You still got to call it the same. That was a dangerous thing. And then this is a guy. Hold on, Ray. This is a guy that have a reputation to do dirty things. It's not like a guy. This is a first time incident. No, this is a guy that has a long.
We definitely not giving him the.
You hold that against him, though.
Yeah, we have
a reputation of holding people up.
You're definitely not like when we talked about with D Hop. Like, we definitely not giving Draymond Green the benefit of the doubt based on his track record. No way.
So you felt, Freddie, that foul was worth potentially dictating the outcome of this series? Because kicking Draymond out of that game could have had a huge impact on this series.
Honestly, the Grizzlies dropped the ball because they should have took advantage of you by losing one of the Golden State's, not their best player, but one of their most important players on that team. And for them losing that game, that might come back and hunt them in the long run. But I think it's a fair call, though.
Okay. Kenny?
Oh, no, I already said, like, you can't. To me, it wasn't I think the issue is you had two. To me, it was, I don't know why they call it a flagrant 2. To me, it was a case of 2 flagrant 1s. To where one, he hit him in the head. So that's a flagrant 1. And then the other flagrant 1 was where he got he said he got his hand caught in his jersey, whatever the case may be.
You can't call 2 flagrant 1s. It's either flagrant 1 or flagrant 2. That's why.
Well, to me, that's really what it was. Like, so it was two different flagrant 1s. But I don't think he should have been ejected. I think it should have. If that's the rule that you can only call 1 flagrant 1, then you just call 1 flagrant 1. Because you can't put the 2 together. But I don't think that he got and again, I'm sure his reputation played into it. But the fact of the matter is, if you were going by the rule, it should have just been a flagrant 1. It should not have been a flagrant 2. I don't think he should have.
So forget the slap in the face, or forget the pull.
You got to pick one according to the rule. You got to pick one.
No. That's to your rule. Because they went by the rule. They called the one hit by the face. That's the one. Then they said, okay, you pulled him down. That's dangerous. So they went by the rule, but by everybody else's rule, they should have just said, you know what, we're going to forget one of them.
So help me understand. What you just said, if I'm understanding you correctly, that you can't call 2 flagrant 1s on one play, right?
Yeah, after you get the one, then you can call another one equals up to the flagrant foul 2. Yeah.
Okay. So that's what I'm saying. Like, either it was going to be it was either going to be a flagrant 1 or a flagrant 2. And to me, like either because he didn't, because of the nature of the play at first, I think you just rule on the slap, and that you don't rule on the jersey tug. If I'm understanding it right, maybe I'm not understanding it right.
What I'm saying is, there's no way that you can count. You can say, you know what, we just gonna call that a common foul, but we're gonna call this play a flagrant 1. And you can't do that because it clearly says in the rules, and the referees are consistent about this. If you have contact near the head area, it's a flagrant 1. Hey,
I think most everybody's good with it.
Okay, but you reach in
was not a
but hold on, Roy Kenny. You reach in the jersey, you pull.
And I'm not Kenny. Are you blind?
That was unnecessary. That was unnecessary. It wasn't necessary that he had to do that. So that's when they call it the flagrant 2, that you going too far outside of the basketball.
So then you are putting both plays together then.
Yeah. So flagrant 1 for the face, and then this escalated to a flagrant 2. Yeah.
That's foolish.
Yeah, I'm not understanding it. You're putting both fouls together.
It was one foul.
It was 2 different fouls. The face,
yeah, but you just said
was 1.
But you're confusing me. You're confusing me because if you're saying that they can't put the 2 together, then you're saying that the first one was a flagrant, then the other one was a flagrant 1.
No, what did I say? I didn't say you can't put 2 together. What I hold on. I guess we just said. I know we had a couple things wrong. What I'm saying is that you can put the 2 together, but you just can't say if this one's a flagrant 1, this is a flagrant 1. No, once you get the first one, it equal. Then the second one's gonna have to be the flagrant 2.
Isn't 2 flagrant 1s an ejection anyway?
Right.
Yeah.
So they did put the 2 fouls together and they made it a flagrant 2.
Right.
Okay. See now, okay. Now that makes more sense.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
If they're doing it if that was the case where they put both of those as flagrant 1s, then I'm okay with that.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah. Thank you, Sean.
Yeah, because to me, neither one of those are making a play on the ball. So
to me, it was all one motion, though. That's why I think you have to consider it all just one foul. That's just how I look at it, though.
But it's 2 different, because after he did this, he didn't let his hand go. So that's you already made one action, then you had another action.
The thing is, it's Draymond Green. If it was another player that has no history, I don't think they get a flagrant 2, and that's my problem with it.
I don't know, because I don't with that play, like when a guy is like, put in danger like that, I don't think it would have mattered who did that. I think if anybody does that, they're going to look at it the same way. So I don't know. I don't think necessarily that this was that had to do with his reputation. I think it was the nature of what happened.
So I'm just trying to do a little bit more reading. And so the NBA did obviously uphold the flagrant 2 call, but the flagrant 2 is unnecessary and excessive. So Freddie, to you, that pull down you would say is excessive?
Yeah. That's not a basketball move, bro. Right.
I'm not saying
Let me ask you a question. Right. Let me ask you a question. Me and you playing 1-on-1. You up in the air, you falling down. I reach your jersey, I pull you down. What are you doing?
Freddie, that's half the story. Now,
no. Answer the question, Ray.
So I'm going to put it in proper context. If I'm going up and you grab me and pull me down and your follow through is like this, like you're casting me away, like you grabbed me and you threw me, we fighting. But if you grab me and hold me, so that really
he didn't really do that good of a job of holding him, by the way.
I mean,
they're both
in the air.
450 pounds of weight maybe between them. It's difficult to do. But nothing about the end of that, or even Brandon Clark's fall, he didn't stay down necessarily for a really long time because I think he was hurt. I think he was selling it. I think that was the lead. And maybe it is luck, but all I can do is judge it based on what I saw. And if I was in that same situation, that is not a flagrant 2 by any stretch. I would much rather you do that than you Jay Crowder me. I'll say that.
But Ray, what I'm saying is, you go in the air instead. I
don't care. I'm with Freddie. I don't care if you got your jersey stuck, your hand stuck in my jersey. I don't care how it happened. If you hit me like that and I'm in the air, I'm getting up ready to fight. Cause that's putting me in danger. Nah, that's not.
Brandon Clark didn't do that. Nobody rushed in. None of that happened.
I understand that. I'm just saying, if I'm just speaking from my perspective. If you put me in danger and I'm in the air and I can't control how I'm landing, we got a problem.
Are we sure though, when he was falling, that he wasn't trying to grab his shirt to try to break his fall?
I'm sure he was. You can't get a flagrant for that. I'm sure he was, but in the heat of the moment, like, I'm coming to see you, like, bro, what are you doing?
Yeah. I was trying to help you from breaking your face. You should be thanking me.
I'm not seeing that in the heat of my point is I'm not seeing that in the heat of the moment.
Well, as a referee,
I'm in the air, is that
in a competitive game in the playoffs, you got a lot of you know what's to throw him out of that game. I don't think.
I don't think he should. I think the only person that's not saying it. I think we're all saying that he shouldn't have been ejected. I think Freddie is the only person that's saying.
Yeah, but we know Freddie is back.
No. I'm not. Hey, I'm just basing it off what the rules are in the NBA. That's what I'm basing it off.
Okay. So in other words, if in your opinion, this is just based off the rules. In your opinion, no, he shouldn't have been ejected. He should have been ejected just based off the rules. Is that right?
Right. And I think a lot of it has to do with who he is and his reputation. Because I believe if this was, let's say Dwayne Wade, somebody who's had a good, history, wasn't known to do none of this stuff, I don't think they would have thrown him out. But I just think they've seen little things out of Draymond, a couple times. With him and Steven Adams hitting between the groin, him and LeBron in the finals and stuff like that, that they kind of judged that, based off of his reputation.
That's exactly what I was saying. Like, I'm okay with the flagrant up here in the head, but I'm not okay if you're going to give him a flagrant 2 for pulling his jersey to try to break his fall. That's why I don't.
Well, if anything, I thought I'm with Kenny. It should be the face that they're going to excuse, but the one in the jersey is definitely.
He didn't say he was pulling his jersey. He said that his hand got caught in his jersey. You're not ever going to be.
We saw him grab and hold to keep him from hitting the ground hard. That's
what he didn't do that good of a job.
That's not what he said. It's not what he said. He said he got his hand caught in his jersey, so he wasn't trying.
I'm simply saying what we all saw. I think we all agree that that's BS. No, it wasn't an accident. I think he said that after the game to try and make it sound better. I think he was trying to hold him up. We've seen him do that we keep bringing up Draymond's past. Draymond has a past of catching multiple people. Like that also should be factored in to this discussion. If you're going to talk about
Ray, come on, bro. You know better than anybody else.
Have you know better than anybody else? He caught Steven Adams. He's caught multiple people. This ain't the first time he's tried to grab somebody. This one just ended up because he was too far away to really grab the body of the person. But I think he minimized Clark's fall way more about what he did than had he just not touched him.
But at the end of the day, you guys, this is really not that big of a deal because they won the game. If they would have lost the game, then everybody would have blamed Draymond. So
it's a huge thing. That's 2 flagrant points.
Or play.
Yeah, he just got to be careful now. He got to know, like, hey, what I have on me. He just him as a player has to know I can't be doing these little shenanigans, or I can't be doing, I can do so much, or it's a possibility I can cost my team.
If I'm Brandon Clark, I'm not calling out Draymond at the end of the game, though, and adding fuel to the fire to that Warriors team. That's what I'm not going to do. That was dumb.
Yeah. No, I'm definitely doing. Bring that fire. Bring it.
No.
Oh, hey,
what y'all said, they climbing up the chimney to
climb up the chimney.
Yeah. We want to see. I want to see that back and forth. I want to see Draymond come out there talking that talk, flexing his arms. I want to see who on this Grizzly team is going to bring that grit and grind. Who go come in and say, okay, we battle tested, because I have the Memphis winning in 6. Me personally, because I believe they're young, they're deep. Ja Morant, but that kid Baines, man, if he get going. Ooh, it's gonna be a long night because he's nice. He's nice. Dylan Brooks, they're going to if they can contain Poole, I believe
You got a whole bunch of ifs happening.
Because Steph Curry, you can only contain him for so long. I believe you have to try to stop Poole. Don't let Poole go off on you for a big night type deal.
Oh, and just for the record, the league did not reduce his flagrant.
Yeah, that's what I said. It's big.
So he's one flagrant. So his next flagrant, he's getting suspended.
You better be careful.
These soft league. And I ain't gonna lie to y'all. Those refs was very pro Memphis. I said something in my group chat. That tip out of bounds that they didn't review, and there was some other things that I didn't love the way it was officiated, but Golden State was able to overcome.
Because they had Gucci Man officiating.
Yeah.
Y'all ain't see Gucci Man out there with the jersey on?
It was definitely a southern party there in the refereeing. But yeah, we got the Suns game is at halftime. They closed the half really well. Ayton is playing phenomenally. Jalen Brunson has been a no-show thus far.
Dallas have no big man, bro. Of course, Ayton should be leading.
Don't do that. Because I've seen Ayton be the only big man on the floor a lot of times. And
Dallas is barbecue chicken.
Yeah.
He's playing well. Hopefully he continues to play so. They're going to need him.
Luka going to average 50 to 60 points to win this as a series, by the way.
He just got to get some help. The rest of the starting five has done nothing. That's the issue.
Labor has what's he have? He has 5 threes.
He's off the bench. Finney-Smith has 2, Bullock has 4, Powell has 2, and Brunson has 3. The rest outside of Luka, the starting 5 is 4 of 13, and 1 of 4 of 3.
Can somebody put an alert out for James Harden? Where's the hell this dude is at? I understand Joel Embiid's not playing, but damn, bro, where are you at?
He back
washed.
He washed.
him in his hamstring.
You gotta leave them. You gotta leave them wings alone.
It's a lifestyle. James Harden
you got to adopt that Chris Paul diet.
Got to do something.
You don't want to be like Chris Paul in the player. He half there is himself.
But I'm talking about in terms of losing that weight. You got to drop some pounds.
I hear you. Chris Paul at 7, 3, and 5, not knocking it out the park either.
That's Chris Paul numbers though, until the fourth quarter.
Yeah, sometimes, or he might end the game with 4.
When he's needed, that's when he comes up.
We've seen him put up 4 in a game, so we would definitely see.
Also saw 14 the last game.
Yeah, thank you, John.
He's been closing a lot better these playoffs. I give him credit
against New Orleans. So
that's fair.
Keep it in perspective. It's not like there's a defensive standout there in New Orleans. But it's been another great episode here. We got some great things, a lot of basketball coming this here week. We will definitely have to revisit some of these takes. Freddie, hopefully you can make it. Although if Memphis is down, I imagine you won't, since you just said Memphis in 6, which is a strong statement.
Memphis in 6, and Milwaukee in 4.
So Memphis is 4.
Hot taking it. Go out with the hot takes.
So,
Boston have no answer for Giannis. None.
So it clearly, ladies and gentlemen, Freddie has had himself a little too much this evening there in the great state of Texas. I know he's working on a lot. He's a little distracted, so please for some of his outrageous takes and his bandwagon jumping.
I got one better than that, Ray. You want to hear it?
Oh, yeah. Well, please. Why not? You're on a roll.
Lakers championships next year. It's on the way. Just
Good
be
night.
ready. We
Good
on
night.
the way.
All right.
Everybody,
And
thanks for
Well,
tuning in.
Westbrook, he gone.
Everybody,
Westbrook
thanks for
tuning
gone.
tuning
into
in.
ASAP Network, where even though this is real talk, Freddie just says the most flagrant, outlandish things. But that's why we love Freddie. Devin, Sean, thank you so much for jumping on. Hopefully we see more of you guys. Kenny, you know what it is. Y'all have a great evening. Enjoy the second half. And we'll be back with you on Thursday at 9.
All sports, all plays. Yeah. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making up plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics, living.